Okay, so I'll finish telling the story. That was my grandparents' house, my dad's parents' house right there. There used to be a stained glass window up there before they put the siding on. I remember that. It used to be a bevel board house, and the stained glass window was up there, and then they got aluminum siding in the mid 70s. But yeah, anyway, as I was saying about this property on the corner here, this was all forest, except there was an abandoned house with a garage there. That was called Mattie's Bush, we called that, because that was an elderly woman named Mattie had lived there, and she had passed away. And all the kids around here used to have to go in there in order to prove we were brave. It was a test of your bravery. I did it, and we all did it. We have to go into the house and stay in there for a certain amount of time to prove that we had nerve, because everybody thought the place was haunted. Anyway, in 1974, when they tore that down to build the apartment building, which is there, they built the apartment building, then they built that gray house, and then they built that house. Well, in 1974, when they built the apartment building, they tore down Mattie's old house, and that's Queen Elizabeth School here. That's all. This gray part of the building wasn't there when I was a little kid. But anyway, Mattie's a girl walked past there. I didn't want to get her in the frame. Sometimes females get a little creeped out if they think you're making a video of them. Anyway, when they tore down the Mattie's house and they opened up the garage, I was just telling the story and the phone cut me off. There was a brand new 1947 Pontiac in there. And I say brand new because it had like less than 100 miles on it and hadn't been driven since 1947. Turns out Mattie's husband had bought the car, bought it new, and he drove it just a little bit before he passed away. He came home from work one night, drove the car into the garage, and when in the house at some point in the night, he took a heart attack and died. And so the car stayed in the garage all those years. It was just kind of forgotten about. And then in 1974, when they went to tear the building down, the house and the garage and everything, when they went to do that, they found the car in the garage. Anyway, the workmen worked on it, and they had it running the same day. They did. Now, I mean, in 1974, 1940s cars weren't entirely unheard of. I remember people that were still driving them to work every day. In the 1980s, I bought 1940s cars for next to nothing and drove them just as daily drivers. Drove them into the ground, drive it into the ground, scrap it, and buy another one. They were cheap. Nobody wanted them. But this was a new one. That was unusual. A 1947 car that had hardly any mileage on it and had just been sitting all those years. So that was kind of special anyway. I remember when that happened. I don't know what became of the car, but I'm guessing it belonged to whoever bought the property, and was tearing down the buildings and stuff. But that's the story anyway with that. I was just talking about how my cousin Alan and I used to play back there. All us kids did, but we were Catholic, and that was considered to be a Protestant schoolyard. This is back in the early 1970s, and in 1971, my cousin Alan and I, we got targeted by a bunch of Protestant kids, and they beat us up pretty severely for playing on that yard. Anyway, that was the first time I heard the word Dogan. They called us Dogans, but they knew we were Catholic because they knew where we came from. They knew we came from that house, and that was a Catholic house. My grandparents bought that property, the house, and the lot next door for a huge property in 1942 for $1,200, and they both lived there until they passed away. My grandma passed away in 1988, and my grandpa passed away in 1997. Grandma was 69 when she passed, and Grandpa was 77 when he passed. And they both passed away in the house. And when they bought that property, that house was called Half Breed's Hall. And the reason for that was there had been a Métis family that lived there. They actually bought it from a Métis family that owned it prior to them. So that everybody in town called that house Half-Breed Hall anyway. So just another little bit of history. Anyway, I'm going to get going. We'll walk up this way, have another look at the fair, and then we'll get moving. I'm not really big on crowds, so for me, I kind of want to go. But yeah, there's the steeple of the Catholic Church. This end of town was really the Catholic end of town. That's St. John the Baptist Roman Catholic Church there. And the school that I went to is right near there. But yeah. Okay. Anyway, there's the Ferris wheel. There's the Ferris wheel. So we'll take another walk through on our way here. We will. Okay, now people lined up to get in. Anyway, this is, I believe, the oldest continuously running agricultural fair in Canada. It's either that or it's one of the oldest. I can't remember exactly which. Okay. Alright. Well, we'll go back to the truck. All these places are new too. This used to be a public works yard. At one time there was a public works garage there in the corner, and this was all a public works yard where they stored equipment and things like that, you know. Anyway, that's it. All right. We'll see you later.